Hello and welcome, it is Debs here. I want to talk to you today about the difference between transformation and when we have a moment of thinking something different and then go back to how we've always been, and how we create transformation as opposed to these little moments of seeing something and moving forward and then going back to where we've always been. So to me, transformation, I talked in the last video I made, and if you haven't watched that, do go back and watch that. But I talked in the last video I made about trajectories, about how we, through the thinking that we have that we believe to be true, we create almost like rails, trajectories of where we are going to go. When I look at who I used to be all those years ago, there was no other alternative but for me to be in an abusive relationship. I could not have been in a healthy, loving relationship because of how I was showing up and who I was being, the rails I was going along, you might say, or the trajectory that I was on. And to change that, to transform, I had to become someone different. I had to live on a different level of consciousness. The person that I am now, it would be literally impossible for me to be in an abusive relationship. I am just not that person. I just do not think in that way anymore. I do not live on that level of consciousness. If you think of it in this way, if you think of a house with rooms in it, and each one of those rooms has specific things in that room. So when you go into that room, you're going to see and interact with and have access to all the things that are in that room. And when you come out of that room and go into another room, you're going to see and have access to and interact with all the things that are in that room. So when you live on a certain level of consciousness or a certain state of being, those are the things that you have access to. So for me, I lived for a very, very long time on my state of being, my level of consciousness, the room that I lived in, however you want to, whatever words you want to put on it. I lived in a room where abuse and insecurity, not loving myself, not feeling good enough, I had full access to all of those things. Now, the way that these states work, there definitely were times, I didn't have those entire years and never changed states of consciousness. Absolutely, I did. And I would visit other rooms. It was like I would come out of that room and visit other rooms. But that was the place where I spent most of my time. And to me, transformation is when we come out of that room and find another room with the things in it that we want, and then we spend most of our time in that room. And so that for me is what happened to me. I came out of that room where I had full access to not feeling good enough, not loving myself, abuse, all of those things. I came out of that room and I now live predominantly in a room full of love and abundance and joy and creation and experimenting with my spiritual nature. I live in a room that is full of plenty of things that I really love. And that to me is transformation, living in that room much more of the time. So how do we do that? Well, for me, it was very much about learning to understand these things, understanding that that's what I was doing, and understanding the huge role that my thinking, the thoughts that I believe to be true, play in that, in creating that. The thoughts that I believe to be true had me living in that room, had me living at that state of consciousness, because we all run programs, whether we know it or not, or whether we mean to or not. We all run programs which are the thoughts that we believe to be true in any given moment. But we have this amazing gift of imagination. So for me, what I see now when I want to move to a different state, when I want to be somewhere different, I can use this power that I have. It is the power of thought. Sydney Banks, an amazing man that I have learned a lot from, who talked about 3 spiritual principles, and lots of other spiritual teachers that I follow too. they talk about states of consciousness and thought, the role that thought plays. And so what I see is imagination is one of the ways that it's a type of thinking. We can think in imaginative ways. So I can use my thoughts and believe anything that drops into my mind, or I can imagine. So if I want to move to a different state of consciousness, like for example, I am at the moment in the process of building a beautiful home for me and my partner. So I spend my time imagining that going really well, imagining it working out for me, imagining having all the things showing up that I need. I am building my YouTube channel. Here I am making videos. So I spend my time imagining what the next great video that I can make. Imagining people watching my videos, having transformations, hearing something in them, subscribing to my channel and my channel growing. So I use my imagination to create these things. And lo and behold, I have had my YouTube channel for, I think, about 11 years. Now, if you go and look back over that time, I have recently, since I have been imagining making more videos and getting more subscribers, that is exactly what is beginning to happen. And when I look at the land, my imagination around my land began with me imagining that I had the funds to buy the land. And guess what? The land became mine. And now I'm imagining the house being built and things are beginning to move in that direction. Anytime now we're going to be taking the next step. I don't know where you are watching this video and how far we've got, but that is progressing too. We are moving in that direction. And so for me, transformation is it's not about policing my thinking and watching what I'm thinking, but it is deliberately putting my attention on the thinking that I want to create more of, that I want to create more of in my world. So I don't spend any time thinking about not being good enough, thinking about being insecure, thinking I don't think in those ways anymore. So I don't live in that state of consciousness. I now think about in terms of who I am, and I do freely and regularly use I am statements. I have something that I call my soul contract. That is a set of I am statements that I listen to every morning and every evening. And what I see is when I have statements like I am, I'm trying to think of one of my statements that I use particularly a lot. One of them is I am fearless. And I really have seen over the time, listening to that, I listen to my soul contract every morning, every evening, and I read it at some point during the day. And as I said, one of my statements, I am fearless, that has had a huge impact. Hearing that every day, what has happened is I have really noticed if I am showing up in places and being fearful, that really sticks out to me because I am listening to and I know I want to live from a place of being fearless. If I'm doing something, if I'm having an interaction with someone, or I need to send out an email, or I'm making a video or something like that, and I get fearful, it arises in my mind, oh, I thought you were fearless. You have created yourself. You have made this statement about being fearless. Do you want to follow that statement? Is this true about you? Do you want to do that? And then I get to live into being fearless. And so I get to live in a state, I create myself as the state of fearlessness. And that to me is how I hang out in the rooms, if you like, the states of consciousness that I want to hang out in way, way more than I ever used to. And I can see, to start with, this is a practice, and what it becomes a little bit like driving. I drive a car fairly regularly, and most of the time now I can drive on autopilot. I don't have to specifically be doing things. It sort of happens through me, and my soul contract is like that. How I show up, how I live. I used to live in the room, the state of consciousness around feeling not good enough, about feeling insecure, about feeling unloved, about feeling unsafe. I used to live there very, very easily. That was just a habitual state. And practicing different states and moving me out there, now it is very easy for me to habitually live in a state of I am fearless, I am a beacon of light and unconditional, inconceivable love. They are much more easy for me to just live into from repeating and more than that, embodying these statements. So thank you guys. I love you. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you found this helpful, if you have any comments or questions, please comment below. I will be making more videos, so I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye for now.